Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I was rudely interrupted. Man, did I put a lot of time into setting up a studio only to meet with defeat in a non responsive situation on the interwebs. So, anyway, to my viewers on Rumble, I will upload this broadcast after it gets all done on Utizzle, and I can forward it to Rumble. So anyway, that's what I'll have to do. I'll just have to sit here and babble as all my hard work for the day has gone, at least for now, asunder. But I can take care of it in a future broadcast. But we have a few points we want to bring up. KNS cleanup. How you doing? Since I got 5x5. Rain, how are you? Justin Bean, Robin, Darla, Todd, Lucky. Nice to see you all. I'm glad you were looking out for me. It would have took me another half an hour to try to get back where I was with the other broadcast. For all I know, it's probably still going. I don't know. I would have to enter YouTube and see what's going on and go into the studio. I don't have time for that. Let's see what people know in the chats now that we got some people in. Did this judge, what is her name? Frimpong. Don't you all remember the Frimpongs? Didn't you have neighbors named the Frimpongs? But anyway, this is a judge that was supposed to put out a ruling today about the parameters for ICE to conduct an arrest in Southern California. Cripple the operation, in other words, is what Tom Homan speculated could happen, where you can't even arrest them because, the only reason you're coming up to them is because they're brown people. And you've got to have something more than reasonable suspicion. You got to have some kind of actionable intelligence or verifiable stuff. Who knows what these lunatics are coming up with? Who knows where this Frimpong came from? Hebrew Hammer, how you doing? Wanda, Benjamin, Wayne, nice to see you. Yvonne, did you all, a Google account, how you doing? Did you all, anybody see an update on whether Judge Frimpong came up with a ruling on what she was going to do today? Because that was in my thumbnail, my first broadcast. She said, it's truly a tentative, not final. My intention coming into this hearing, given the urgency and weight of the matter at issue, is to issue my ruling tomorrow. Judge Frimpong. I'll get the rest of her name in a minute. I just don't want to drop out of the studio. Any updates? I checked. Well, things are getting very, very, I guess can I use the word violent on YouTube? I have to be careful with everything I say. Maybe my broadcast got kicked off because on Rumble, I use the word, can I say even on YouTube, children? But in my title on YouTube, I put kids. Does that get me in trouble? I might broadcast tomorrow just to make them mad. Even though I was going to, I've said in the past, I want to get up earlier. If I'd known I was going to be just on StreamYard like this, I'd been up an hour ago. Because Bass Backwards had a press conference. And she outlined what she's going to do with her Praetorian guard of bureaucrats in the government of Los Angeles. The bureaucrats going to give specific instructions about how to handle ICE. They say interact with ICE or deal with ICE, but really how to thwart the federal government from fulfilling its obligations to the American people. But they frame it in such a way as to act like they're abiding by the law. I'll play that press conference next time I go live. I might go live tomorrow night. How many? How many in here right now are up for a broadcast tomorrow night? Saturdays aren't very good though. A lot of people say, "Yeah, I'll be there," and they're out doing whatever Saturday night. Staying alive. Saturday Night Fever. Who knows? We were a wild generation, right? Graybeard, how you doing? Staying alive. Debbie, nice to see you. No, Darla said yes. Wanda said yes. Robin said yes. Me too. I don't know. I'll have to take a Sunday off because I was going to tell everybody about my plans to perhaps sharpen my pencil, take a little bit more time instead of rushed, fevered broadcasts, given that things are static. They're static, but they've been static for over a year. Carbon copy view amounts, carbon copy thumbs ups, carbon copy subscribers. Just doesn't budge except very in a snail's pace. Gary, yeah, I'm having fun too, because I want. Let me get back on my point with this Bass Ackwards, Karen Bass. I watched a video today, and it wouldn't upload. It was off Telegram. It was a short video. It was the air quotes Presidente, I should say El Presidente of Brazil in response to Trump's 50% tariff, which I saw coming a mile away, kind of like it was like a George Foreman punch, real slow, like slow motion, but for some reason they don't get out of the way and bam, they get knocked out. I saw that 50% tariff coming. I said, after Trump gave that warning, you better lay off Bolsonaro's, lay off the witch hunt, or else. They didn't get out of the way. Pop! Like a telephone pole jab from George Foreman to get to 50% tariffs on their goods. Well, he gave a response to that, and it wouldn't upload to my phone. I'm going to have to try again. I had odd situations going on, and for those who aren't familiar with my broadcasts, it might seem a little weird, but I had stuff got uploaded to my phone that I did not upload, and then things I wanted to upload wouldn't upload. Then I went to go live, and I got kicked out of the app. Not responding. So what that would not upload was Lula discussing Trump. And I will find a way to either copy that video and put it in or upload it. But he said, If he had his way, Donald Trump would be in jail for what he did January 6th. He belongs in jail. Of course, rejecting Trump's demands to lay off of Bolsonaro's. And he went on a little screed, maybe a 30-second screed, talking about the rule of law and how the courts must be respected. Doesn't that sound interesting? Doesn't that sound familiar? Now, he's nothing but a commie, pinko rat. That's what he is. Lula. A person who himself was in jail and somehow got out of jail. Supposed to be sitting there 20 years or however long he's supposed to be sitting there. And next thing you know, he takes over the presidency of the United States and is threatening to put the former president in jail. And they had their own carbon copy, right down to the Q shaman. They had their own carbon copy of January and then 6th. So here he is, angrily responding to the tariffs, talking about how much money they bring in anyway. They don't need the U.S. BRICS and China will save their day, and Trump belongs in jail. And respect the judiciary. Well, listening to Karen Bass today, they're in the same playbook. Remember, we know the playbook. We know their playbook. So it's a communist insurgency, a color revolution, and we even know the color. It's purple in America. I don't know what color they used in Brazil. But anyway, so I couldn't get that one, and I'm like, I got to get on. And then I found out, remember I said KTLA? I said, that's a weird situation. That station is a problem. And I look for them to get shut down. I said that, I don't know, sometime earlier this week or last week. And then I said, well, listen to this broadcast. Listen how stilted they are. Listen how they manipulate the message, right? Well, today I was playing videos and I copied them and was going to play them for you. And I will when I get figure out what's going on. Or, I don't know. This has happened to me before prior to my heretofore suspensions on YouTube and the loss of a channel and 600 videos. So I don't know if that might happen because I use the words in my title. I don't know. Or maybe they have a way of seeing what's in your studio and they don't want you putting it up. I don't know. But once again, I'm watching a video about the attacks on ICE at the pot farm. I don't care about pot farms. It's been a joke how they've been making a career out of arresting people who smoke pot. And when I was coming up, you knew your teacher was a smoker. Yeah, I've seen judges smoked up. I've seen attorneys smoked up. I've seen cops smoked up. Look, pair of cops at the 7-Eleven, you go walk up and say hi to them, and they roll down the window, and it's like Cheech and Chong. You can smell it. It's like, man, what are you two doing? And then my older cop friends, I'd walk up, and they'd roll down the window, reach under the seat, and give me a bottle of whatever they were keeping warm with that night. It's kind of like antifreeze. So, yeah, nobody's perfect. Everybody's got their little thing going on. But I don't care about pot farms. If it's not a federal case to me. It should have never been. And we've spent trillions on that nonsense. Because kids are going to do what kids are going to do, right? So, anyway, it turns out they had, children there. Unaccompanied minors. They had possible cartel ties. They're the largest marijuana producer in the U.S. by their own advertisements. Well, you have to think to yourself, are cartels stupid? Are they going to sit there and go, we should grow it in Latin America, smuggle it across the border? Yeah, that's what we, or would they go to the path of least resistance and get operational control of a domestic operation? Of course, anybody with a brain would do that. Mutual agreement, nothing on paper, but if you mess up, you'll be pushing up daisies. But you got to have good business relationships. You can't have it all your way. So, one hand washes the other. Just imagine one hand washing the back of the other hand, and then you reverse it, and the other hand washes the back of the first hand, and you just keep washing each other's hands. And sure, they would have cartels influencing domestic production. The whole reason California, Colorado, and eventually probably every state in the union would go ahead and legalize it is why? Why? They want the money. They want the money. And remember Bruce Lee? He used to say, be like water. Be like water. Water flows. Water always looks for the path of least resistance. Water will go through a gnat's rectum, right? A gnat's nostril. Water flows, water goes. So the cartels are going to be like water and go to the path of least resistance. And the operation turns into this big setup. And also they can run with their coyotes and whatever. Cartels can bring people in very, very, very cheap labor. What do you think these people are doing? If they got any brains with the lackadaisical enforcement, the outright desire of government officials to give away as much of your money as possible to make sure they get the votes? Well, you don't even report you're working. You work for peanuts, which is relative to your home country, still big money. But then you get food stamps, then you get housing, then you get EBT, SNAP, WIC, fuel assistance, housing assistance. On top of all that. So, yeah, that would be a place for ICE to target. But I had a video where KTLA, the station I was curious about, had a video of a man who was pro-ICE at that location. And they played him on loop, getting harassed, smacked around. And they said, well, it's a hot day. People are tired. People are on edge. But he did make it to his car safely. That was their video. I said, oh. So I went ahead and copied that because I was going to say, oh, free speech. How come this guy gets shoved around and harassed? But it was a hot day, people on edge, and he did make it to his car safe. He was run off. Well, don't you know, about an hour later, I came across the video from another angle. They did a little more than just run him off and throw water on him and slap him around a little bit. Without the commentary from KTLA. So I can see another video from News Nation about what was going on at the farm, the pot farm, cannabis farm, what they call it. And it starts off with a helicopter view. And the presenter on News Nation, which I always said, I wonder what their deal is, because they hired Chris Cuomo. He's he's a creepo, and are they trying to reform him or use him as a gray hat or whatever? Well, at the beginning of the video, they said that helicopter view was from our affiliate station, KTLA. I'm like, aha, worms in a clump of dirt. Worms in a clump of dirt. Asylum. She's saying get on her panel or else. Just letting me know. Let's see. Barbara Maloney is restreaming my live. I'm afraid I do not know Barbara Maloney, but it's nice to meet you, the Asylum fan. If your intentions are good. Hi, Elva. Lucky, nice to see you. So anyway, I got those videos. I worked so hard. Yeah, marijuana. Marijuana. Yeah, Cheech and Chong was a big comedy act. Yeah. That's where it smells like dog, you know what? Looks like dog, you know what? It must be dog, you know what? Miss Mendersu. Pappy Two Bears, how you doing? Bambi, nice to see you. Yes. That's why I was talking about cowboy boots, Gary. We've got a good pointed toe. And that's what you can use to hit them right in the, yeah. So anyway, let's see what else is going on down here at the bottom of the comments. Up in smoke. That's right, Lucky. Jackie, nice to see you. Well, Asylum, I would have to, I don't know how to jump over on somebody's live stream. Just in case, how you doing? Nothing wrong with responsibly using hemp or cannabis. Yeah, so anything is, what is it, the saying, nothing in excess, right? But anyway, Karen Bass is using, if you listen to the tone and you listen to the direction, the same commie notion that judges need to be respected. They represent the law. We follow the law. But she's also saying she's girding her people to defy ICE and giving them specious legal advice from these attorneys that think like Ketanji Brown Jackson. Well, I'm just telling people how I feel when she writes her opinions. A legal opinion from the Supreme Court is not supposed to be a treatise on how you feel. And this Judge Frimpong is not supposed to consider what will happen to people if I don't do something to stop this. It's kind of like saying, I'm taking a guy in court for an eviction. I got a liberal judge that keeps extending the date. Finally, they're there for 6 months without paying their damn rent. And the judge says, by the way, 6 months is half a year. It's cold outside. If I order an eviction, this person will freeze to death. So no, you have to keep him there in violation of the law. It's not, hey, he'll find somewhere. But that's the way they think. They want to be the nanny, the mommy. So anyway, we'll see what Judge Frimpong has to say. Is she going to cripple ICE? Is she going to cripple them? Where did she go to school? I'll tell you where she went to school. Harvard. Her name is Mame Ewuzi Mensah Frimpong. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? The first name is spelled with 2 A's. Maame. That's the first name. Ewuzi, EWUSI dash Mensah, MENSAH. And then the last name, Frimpong. Huh. Must be Irish. But anyway, Mame Ewuzi Mensah Frimpong is an American attorney serving as a United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the Southern District of California. At the risk of incurring people's ire, I've talked in the past. It was bad enough we had Barack Hussein Obama as president of the United States. We thought that was bad, but we've been seeing these judges. They have names you can't spell, you've never heard of before. Like that one judge was born in Canada. He's the one that backed off. He backed off all of a sudden. He'd been an American citizen for about 8 years. And I think he backed off because he could lose his, he could be denaturalized. Okay. If you're breaking certain laws, you can have your citizenship stripped. And I was listening to my, I'll call him a good friend. I don't know him, never met him, never talked to him, but I like to think of him as a friend. Andrew Branco. Law of Self-Defense. I think he changed it to Andrew Branco channel. I don't know. But anyway, he said today what I've been saying, I brought up in a couple broadcasts this month. Not only time to send people back, take away green cards for infractions and just get them the hell out of the country because they're not sincere in their desire to be an American and support American ideals. But that we need to denaturalize people that are violating their oath. And their intentions are not to be American, but to change America. As Barack Hussein Obama said, fundamentally transform America. What the hell did you come here for? Certainly not to be a citizen. So that guy backed off. He was from Canada, but his parents were from, I I don't know, India, I think. I have to look it up. There's so many. It's hard to keep track of which oddly named, incredibly powerful judge we're dealing with all the conniving they're doing to not read and respect the law and uphold the law, but to get around the law for their own ends. And especially if they're under the influence of a foreign power, whether it's a formal state or a cartel or a corrupt, influenced organization, RICO, racketeering, corrupt influence organization. So, yeah, I agree, Wanda. Some of them are foreign agents. Bush, how you doing? So anyway, Frimpong, she's one of the latest of a long string of from judge shopping. We're finding these judges that end up being judging American citizens, and their past history is specious at best. And they become judges in their 30s. They get what's supposed to be top of the line, very expensive education from Harvard and Columbia and Yale. How? And out of 350 million people, there isn't a Susie Jones or a Gladys Logan or somebody in the field of law that has a traditionally American name. Apparently not, because there's 780 judgeships, federal judgeships. How come we have apparently several dozen taken up by people that, who are these people? That's what I put in my thumbnail. Where the hell they come from? How the hell they get the top line, at least on paper, education, and end up in positions where they can freeze the entire federal government from action that the American people want. All the Frimpongs out there and the Chutkins. Judge Chutkin. Oh, there's one I noticed. I got it in my studio. He's the one, this one guy grudgingly had to acquiesce to allowing the federal government to start trimming back, clawing back $800 million in aid money. And grants. Well, he's got a weird last name too. I looked him up. Well, let me check about Frimpong. Frimpong was born in 1976, the 100-year anniversary of the 100 bicentennial. Yeah, bicentennial. Raised in Los Angeles County, the 200-year anniversary of America, and raised in Los Angeles County, California. Okay, you ready for the father's name? Like I said, must be Irish. Kwaku Iwuzi Mensah and Theodora Iwuzi Mensah, immigrants from Ghana. They're from Ghana. Do you know if you are light-skinned and go to Ghana, you're probably not going to get Get out of there. Was she really born there? Were her parents legal when she was born? Is she an anchor baby? Now a federal judge getting ready to put a ruling down that could potentially cripple immigration enforcement. Put the brakes on the entire nation. Were her parents, is she one of the early people that were granted citizenship just because they were born here in violation of the 14th Amendment? Did we have jurisdictional interest in the parents? That's why I'm saying I think it's a shame that we can't enforce the Constitution and all these fraudulent citizenships that were granted to children of illegal aliens should be rescinded, if that's the case. So anyway, you know her background and what she's getting ready to do. But this other character that had to grudgingly agree to $800 million in grants, his name, and I got his picture too, is Amit how you say it? I think he's Swedish. Amit Mehta. Wait a second. Mehta. Mehta. A-M-I-T, Amit Mehta. Mehta. He's an American lawyer, according to Wikipedia. And he's also a United States District Judge for D.C. And he was actually born, where do you think he was born? He was born in Patan, India. He went to Georgetown University, another liberal bastion. What made him cave on allowing those grants to be seized by the Trump administration in effect? I'll check out his last name in a little bit. He apparently came to this country when he was 1 year old, according to Wikipedia. But you can't believe them. Can't believe a damn thing they say. DOJ lands legal victory as federal judge allows $800 million in grants to be clawed back. But he had to say this, didn't he? Is it Mehta or Meta? That's meth up. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta in Washington denied a preliminary injunction that 5 organizations sought against the DOJ's cancellation of more than 360 grant awards and granted a motion to dismiss the case. Mehta described the DOJ's actions as, quote, shameful in his ruling, though he ultimately declared that the court lacked jurisdiction and the organizations had failed to state a constitutional violation or protection. Quote, defendants rescinding these awards is shameful. It's likely to harm communities and individuals vulnerable to crime and violence, Mehta wrote. But displeasure and sympathy are not enough in a court of law. Displeasure and sympathy are not enough in a court of law. Well, as my dad used to say, you want to look up syphilis, it's in the dictionary right between SH, and that's it, and syphilis. When it comes to politics, sympathy, that's where you find it in the dictionary. But anyway, so, I mean, there's just two of them in recent days of the limited number of federal judges we have across this country. There are people who we can't even pronounce their names. They're from liberal colleges, and we don't even know the pedigree of their citizenship. I'll put it that way. Because apparently now there's pedigrees to citizenship. You're either given a phony citizenship because your parents criminally remained in this country and birthed you. That's a different pedigree than people who were citizens, law-abiding citizens of the country, and then had a child. Yes, Rain says, remember to hit the thumbs up. What happened to that person that... Yeah, I wonder if that kooky woman I'm talking about, Frimpong, is going to try to do some kind of class action crapola. I had a thing from Fox News. Justice Jackson defends fiery Supreme Court dissent as telling people how I feel. You know, and I did get that. I did get that truth from Trump about what the Federal Reserve is costing us with their unfair, bloated rate they're charging us. 4 times what they're charging some countries. And Trump put in here, our Fed rate is at least 3 points too high because it's 4.5 or something like that. It should be 1 or less. So it's at least 3 points, more like 3.5 points. But you know how much every point costs us? That's real estate terminology, real estate loan terminology. You would charge somebody a point. That's a percent of the loan. So each point costs us $360 billion a year. $360 billion per year. I said Jerome Powell was costing us trillions, did I not? And they were doing that to offset the money from the tariffs. That's why they're charging us that disgraceful rate. So at 3 points, that would be 720 plus, that would be over $1 trillion a year. So during Trump's presidency, they would cost us over $4 trillion. And if you really add that extra half a point, that would be more than that. So anyway, remember, the $1 trillion stimulus meant, I think half the stimulus packages went to taxpayers. It was worth, if they gave it all, it would be like $4,000 a person. So you're looking at the Fed costing individually people about 16 grand. That's very conservative. That's just talking off the top of my head. But it has a cost per person, just like the number of dependent, excuse me, dependent illegal aliens. And by that, I mean people that don't have jobs. They come here, a single mother with 3 kids. They're not going to go to work anywhere. They're all dependent. They got to be fed, clothed, housed, go to school. That is an expense per taxpayer. So, but what do the Dems care? What do the Democrats care? It's votes for them. They'll go to the mat. They'll go to the mat for their, as Bass Ackworth said, their people. Their people. What her press conference strengthened in my mind is the suspicion that a good number of employees in Los Angeles, county employees, are illegal. How much you want to bet? And she is conniving with Judge Frimpong on how to prevent them from being arrested and sent to Alcatraz to be processed, due process. You know, we all agree due process, right? Processed back to their home country. They're girding themselves up for a standoff, and they're going to use judges like Judge Frimpong to give themselves a cloak of legality and deny federal agents access to state buildings, county buildings, city buildings. How many employees are in the city of Los Angeles? In the surrounding counties? How many employees? And what percentage of them don't have any damn business in this country at all? I don't know. It's a huge number, I'm sure. Just for their social services, child protective agencies. Hi, Lori. Nice to see you. I tell you, I had somebody in the comments. They're not here, so I won't say their name. I don't like talking about people when they're not here. Say specifically their name, but it's not funny. It's aggravating. But they said Frank on NPC show, which I watch his show a lot, blocked them, or I guess spun the wheel on them because they wanted the sound to get turned up. And I messaged him and said, Frank's touchy about stuff like that. Don't let it upset you. But yeah, he'll block people quick for mentioning other channels. Like that person earlier, Frank would have blocked them in a snap of a finger. But I don't see him anymore in here. I don't know who they're talking about going on somebody else's panel. But anyway, I do have an attorney that wants to do a broadcast with me on his program, and when I get that figured out, I will let you all know and let you know how to get to his channel. We'll do like a Saturday special broadcast. What do you think of that, folks? Maybe next weekend I'll put it on my community page. And we'll talk about, because he's an attorney, and I've got things I want to discuss. I want to find out how we can streamline removing some of these judges. You know, not being racist, as they like to say, um, but for their performance and their loyalties. If they're not loyal to the Constitution, if they don't want to, if they look at the laws, how they can manipulate it rather than enforce it, they got to go. And on the flip side, if they're just too damn stupid to understand and they never should have got a degree, they got to go. You know, Abraham Lincoln got his law degree. What they used to do, they didn't have a bar association. You didn't pass a bar. What you had to do was be called what they called read in. You had to be read in. And that was the process where you went in before a select number of graybeards, old hands at judges, and they asked you a series of questions, and you stood there and you answered them. Probably give a sample argument of a certain scenario, and after you ran that verbal gauntlet with these old beards, you were read in and awarded a right to practice law. So maybe we need something like that, because these people can't answer basic questions, or at least they act like they can't. Certainly, Ketanji Brown Jackson, there's no way she passed. No way. She passed a non-altered bar, or somehow it was skewered. Yeah, that's what I put in, Justin. That's what I put it in my title. Full authority. Full authority. I put that in my title, where Trump was pretty mad. Let's see where I uploaded that. And he was mad about the brand new ICE vehicles. I got videos of them throwing rocks at him. He's on his way back from Texas, he said. I'm on my way back from Texas, and watched in disbelief as thugs were violently throwing rocks and bricks at ICE officers while they were moving down a roadway in their car and or official vehicle. Tremendous damage was done to these brand new vehicles. I know for a fact that these officers are having a hard time with allowing this to happen, in that it shows such total disrespect for law and order. As an aside, remember, I said last month, I said they should put out the word, anybody drawn back with a brick or a rock in their hand, just put it out there over and over and over on all the news. Say, you're subject to drop. Okay, you're subject to get SHOT. That's what they need to do. Let me tell you, if somebody drew back on me with a brick, that'd be it for them. It's a deadly weapon. But anyway, therefore, I am directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan to instruct all ICE Homeland Security or any other law enforcement officer who is on the receiving end of thrown rocks, bricks, or any other forms of assault to stop their car and arrest these slime balls using whatever means necessary to do so. Whatever means necessary to effect the arrest. Let's see. I am giving total authorization for ICE to protect itself, just like they protect the public. I never want to see a car carrying a law enforcement officer attacked again. Authorization immediately granted for arrest and incarceration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He is being very nice because I would have said, you go ahead and roll down the window and pop. That's the end of that problem. And that might happen. You know, we've had two people lose their lives because of this just in the past couple of days. They said KTLA that one of the workers passed away from injuries during the ICE raid. Did you hear that, folks? The one where they were throwing rocks and bricks and they were blocking the road and beating up ICE supporters. Well, they said, we haven't got the whole story. We'll get it to you when we find out more. But a worker lost their life because of injuries sustained during the operation. Well, don't you know that got all of them crazy? Guess what happened? I got the video on that too, and I'll put it up next time I broadcast. He was trying to hide from them. And apparently where he was trying to hide was 30 feet off the ground. I don't know where. And he fell. They took him to the hospital. He was brain dead. And they decided to pull the plug. The family decided to pull the plug. And it's all Donald Trump's fault. Here he was evading, eluding a lawful arrest. Went somewhere up in the rafters, on a water tower, in a tree. Who knows where he was? And fell. That's Donald Trump's fault. So that and the individual who attacked an ICE facility and ended up getting his head ventilated, air conditioning, okay, in the kidneys. I'm poking the side of my head. Kidneys got ventilated. So there's two people. And we had a incident where all this is practically simultaneous, all within the same 2-day period. A deputy gets shot in the neck. Another one got shot in the knee. And the one where the guy got his kidneys ventilated inside his skull, 2 other people got injured. I don't know what the details are. So now you have 2 people who aren't breathing anymore, and it's going to get worse. And the press conference from Karen Bass, she evokes religion, a priest who years ago made his church a sanctuary for, and it was interesting, she used the term, what did she use? Refugees and immigrants. A sanctuary for refugees and immigrants. Now, I'm sure that priest meant, okay, if you come here and you're legal but broke, you know, this was probably pre-social safety net. You know, you have a refuge. Certainly not people who are criminals. But anyway, they fall back on that. We want to honor that priest and his, we're going to make sure our I forget the term she used, kind of like Latino, Angelos or Angelinos are safe. So anyway, we'll see. Now, I certainly hope that they can identify those rock throwers from this specific event, and also the individual who physically abused the ICE supporter today. Here's ABC News' report about the worker. Here's how they put it up. One person has died from injuries they sustained as a result of yesterday's immigration enforcement action in California. United Farm Workers said on Friday. Federal agents clashed with protesters during an immigration raid at a farm in Ventura, one of at least two large-scale raids in Southern California on Thursday. The union confirmed some farm workers were critically injured during the enforcement operation. Really? I didn't hear that from any other news source. How were they critically injured? They catch a rock upside the head by accident? You know, Diamond Silk reported this the other day. This is what we're looking at with these damn judges. Outrageous. Laken Riley's murder and then Durer gets a legal victory. How can Laken Riley's assailant that ended her life get a legal victory? A Georgia judge has granted a court-ordered mental evaluation for Jose Ibarra, the illegal immigrant convicted in the brutal 2024 murder of nursing student Laken Riley. Remember that news clip I showed you from overseas? A woman running around when she had decapitated a 4-year-old. They let her out of jail after, what was it, 6 years? Because doctors said they cured her. I think it was in the UK. It was a crazy Pakistani or some Muslim woman, by the garb she was wearing, when she was holding up her trophy, if you know what I mean, a 4-year-old. We got to defend ourselves. We got to put a stop to this crap. And that's what Trump is doing. President Trump ends Clinton-era federal job training program for illegal aliens. They will discontinue a provision from the Clinton era that allowed illegal aliens to enroll in technical and professional education positions. So all you got to do, make it across the border, and you got it made. They knew it was their cherry on top. With all the manipulation, all the mail, in voting, you put on top of that 10, 20 million people who shouldn't be in this country. They were looking at running everything. And they all have the same playbook. like Lula, put it in the hands of the courts, get public opinion to think that this country should be run by judges, because you have to honor the law, and every judge they agree with is the law. It's just exactly what Lula's doing in Brazil. I'm just looking at the quotes, the chats. Anyway, I want to thank Mike and Bev. I've gone over an hour. Once again, they went to buy me a coffee. I do appreciate it. And that's twice this week. What is today? We're in the second week. Yeah. Thank you, Mike and Bev, for keeping me from getting skunked for a whole week. I do appreciate it. I appreciate that nice message you left me. I do my best to keep people informed. And as I said, I might have to, do less and think more about what I'm going to present, rather than just play videos and rehash stuff. Analysis, okay? Things like that. Might, do to 2 or 3 times a week like I used to. And cogitate a little bit more. I don't know. Miss Mendersue gave Mike and Bev booms. Thank you, Miss Mendersue, for giving Mike and Bev booms. But anyway, Clandestine posted a tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who said, wow, who would have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? So she's being a little snot and saying words that got George Stephanopoulos and ABC News sued for $17 million, no matter what anybody else tells you. And Clandestine says just what we were discussing, regardless of how anyone feels about how all this has gone down. One thing remains a certainty. We have successfully baited the Dems into caring about Epstein. Ha ha ha. They claimed it was a CUE Anon conspiracy theory for the last 10 years. Now they're all in. This could be advantageous. Like I've been saying, all we got to do is get a couple of reporters to go to that webpage, real easy, and put in the word island. Click on the links, and they won't be able to stop. They won't be able to stop looking up keywords, because it's all open source information. Nothing conspiratorial. Look what we came up with. Just looking at the few posts, using one word. Donald Trump sent another letter out. He sent a bunch of letters out. This one was to the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. It's the Red Letter Day for Canada. It is a great honor for me to send you this letter, in that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship, and the fact the United States of America agreed to continue to work with Canada despite Canada having financially retaliated against the United States. As you will recall, the United States imposed tariffs on Canada to deal with our nation's fentanyl crisis, which was caused in part by Canada's failure to stop drugs from pouring into our country. Instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its Did my sound drop off? Whoa. Did my sound drop off? I hope my sound didn't drop off. Oh, muted. Okay. Anyway, let me see. He put it at 35% Canadian on Canadian products. Anyway, let me get to the bottom line. Also, I must mention the flow of fentanyl is hardly the only challenge we have with Canada, which has many tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, which cause unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. I have to make sure I don't get muted again. So, he mentions dairy farmers up to 400%. And then, yeah, they've been nailing our farmers. If Canada works with me to stop the flow of fentanyl, we will perhaps consider an adjustment to this letter. Tariffs may be modified upward or downward, depending on our relationship with your country. You will never be disappointed with the United States of America. Let me see that first page. What did he say? Somebody said he put it at 55%. $55 now, Debbie says. Let me see. I see 35. It's at 35, beginning August 1st, unless I'm missing something. He's put it at 35%. So anyway, we'll see how that works out. But like Lula, he claims the tariffs don't bother him, but he put out that scathing comment about Trump belonging in jail. And that tells me something. Like the old sayings, let that dog come to you and all that. There's an old saying called stick a pig and watch him squeal. So Lula can act brave, but he's just squealing like a stuck pig. You know, folks, don't put a lot of credence into the I'm scrolling through stories. I see this Dan Bongino situation. Don't put too much credence into that. And remember, we're watching a show. Okay, folks? Yeah, 50% for Brazil. Oh, it's okay, Debbie. I got to be careful when I go out of the studio to look stuff up so my sound doesn't go out. If I tarry too long, my sound goes out. But anyway, did you see Trump and Melania go to Texas? And right away, a reporter, I got the clip. I'll play it next time I'm up. Trump says, yeah, we'll take some questions because you all are going to be respectful, right? He said, you're in this solemn time, this sad tragedy, I'm sure you all will be respectful. And I couldn't hear that good. And that's part of the reason why I didn't go live with that attorney I was telling about, because I have a little problem with my being able to hear. Talking to myself is one thing, but having to try to listen to somebody respond to questions would have been a little rough for me earlier in the week. So anyway, I couldn't really understand it, but I got the gist of it. talking about who's to blame, and people are saying people weren't prepared. What do you have to say to that? And Trump said, it takes a really sick person to ask that kind of question. I'm so glad he said that. Let's see if some of these liberal channels say something about that. They're not. They're going to be quiet about it because anything that Trump hits the nail on the head with, they don't talk about, they don't report, they don't delve into. They just try to catch him stumbling over a word or focus on Epstein. I agree, Gary. Yes, we need a strong currency. Back it with gold. Back it with gold. But we got to get that Fed rate down. And like I said, Andrew Jackson wouldn't have put up with central banks and the Federal Reserve. Screw them. They should be, let that dog come to you. They should be coming to us for money. The dollar was king, and it needs to be king. Everything was pegged on the dollar. Most things still are pegged on the dollar. Its primacy was unquestioned as the top currency because it was backed by gold, because it was backed by the full faith, credit, confidence of the American people. But now things are getting so diluted. So what I put in my title, splintered, that people's confidence ain't what it used to be, but it's going up every day. And how are we going to respond? By the government. We're the government. When we finally get a government that actually represents us, not the free pongs and Chutkins and the Husseins, Obamas, people that represent the vast majority of Americans. We've got to strengthen our own identity. And that's why Trump has surged with black voters everywhere across the board, Asians and legal Latinos, is because he's going for law and order. The chaos only benefits the communists. They capitalize on it, and they act like heroes that are going to rescue the country from the chaos they create. And then they institute their own form of law and order. That's what they're heading towards. So there's going to be a showdown in the not too distant future with Newscomb and Bass Ackwards. Once they solidify their positions through the courts of how to insurrect against the federal government and try to run their own country. What Bass Ackwards was talking about was setting the rules, making the rules for the city of LA and all the employees, all the bureaucrats, and anybody who enters into city property, whether they're legal or not, especially illegals, would be protected. They want to run their own little mini nation. And they want to use that judge, Freepong, and whoever else they've got in their quiver and it's going to come to a head. It's going to come to a head. And they're going to do it as we predicted. They're going to make their biggest moves while the Supreme Court is on their 3-month vacation. But we did find out that the Supreme Court, I guess somebody is on call. Somebody is on call because we got a unsigned ruling in one case that smacked down a judge who defied the Supreme Court, attempted to circumvent. But who's on call? Is it a rotating? Clarence, you're on call this week. What week or 2 weeks will Ketanji Brown Jackson be on call? Is that where they're going to make a move? Or will they say, we don't have confidence in you, so you can't be on call, Ketanji, because you're, what's the word I can't use? Retarded. I put in a comment on somebody's video. Judge Frimpong, an early false citizen born of aliens, Harvard education, now runs the nation. She now runs the nation. Ain't that the truth? Hi, Stanton. How you doing? Dean, nice to see you. Whoops. How'd that get up here? What the heck? Oh, what'd it say? Let's not forget about, Pritzker. He's laying low, isn't he? I haven't heard much out of him. Well, the ones that are making the strongest move is Karen Bass and Newscomb. Karen Bass and Newscomb. What was I? I had a video of Tom Homan. And he said one thing that the news isn't reporting is that they found 10,000 children. He said, why don't they report on that? And that is what we were told would be the unifier, would unify the people. And what we're all waiting for is a big event. We're waiting for serious arrests. We're waiting for serious disclosures. Epstein Island, okay. But how about 9/11? How about the assassination attempts on Trump? How about them overthrowing the government with CVID and from the Wu and then Han lab? We want all that stuff to happen, but we know before that happens, what has to occur is a great majority that people need to be tuned in on what's going on and not only agree with a harsh action, because people will agree to harsh action at the drop of a hat. But they need to understand that's not gratuitous. It's necessary. It has to happen. Not an elective. Do you want to smack them upside the head or not smack them upside the head? Smack them upside the head. No, it has to be where the vast majority of Americans know we have to smack them upside the head. And I'm saying that figuratively, that they need to feel the hard hand of war to understand that we need to give a hard response back. Because we can't fracture the nation, splinter the nation, however you want to put it, to a point where it's irreparable. And that's why these mass deportations have to occur. And that's why there has to be denaturalization of people who are subversives that have gained citizenship but are subversive. They need to be stripped of the citizenship. And the people that are here illegally have to leave because they cannot be woven into the fabric of American life. They don't want to be. They want to tear the fabric of American life. And a house divided cannot stand. So these actions need to be understood that they're necessary, not just gratifying, gratifying to see people getting what is coming. Nothing beyond that. Justice. But that it has to happen. There has to be justice served. And we're getting closer all the time. Don't you all agree? Well, that's true, Justin. But remember, I early in my broadcast, I reminded people that the Revolutionary War was 7 years. And at the same time, we had American citizens who were called Tories. Okay. And they wanted to stay with the crown. You know, a lot of them up in Boston and different areas. They were loyalists, they were called. And too bad. They ended up staying in America, and they eventually, you know, you don't see any loyalists to the British crown now. Eventually, they just either said, wait a minute, this is pretty good, or they just went back to Britain, or their children, their progeny didn't agree, you know. So we're going to look at what is the biggest part of the resistance that is American born. And I hate to put it this way, but it's mostly liberal white women, older liberal white women from the 60s generation where they started gearing up this. They got rid of Senator McCarthy. They discredited him, and they made it cool to be like the Bernie Sanders going to China and Tim Walsh saying, I learned how to govern in China, and the siren song of a utopian society. They're the remnants of it. So once we get these infiltrators and illegal aliens out of the country, strip the citizenship of naturalized citizens whose intention was to destroy this country, we're going to be left basically with liberal boomers. And it's not just women. A lot of men from that era don't understand the founding document or the spirit of 1776. You'll never have 100%. That's why we have the type of government that we have, where there's supposed to be a constant friction, discussion, deliberation, discernment. So, yeah, well, yes, Mr. Mendersue, you're conservative. I mean, I doubt you went to what was that? What was that where everybody went, got all smoked up and had a big concert? What was that called? Man, I can't even think of that. I didn't go. Oh, I just about had it on the tip of my tongue. Where did everybody party at that farm property, and it was all in the newspaper, and Jimi Hendrix was there, and all the musical names. Come on, you guys. Woodstock. That's right, Graybeard. Woodstock. I doubt you were at Woodstock, Miss Minder Sue. But I guarantee you, a lot of these blue hairs, if they weren't there, they wish they were. Oh man, I wish I had all these videos lined up, and Sonny Houston saying ICE was going to pay the price. I got a picture of Babylon B. Gavin Newsom declares California a sanctuary state for child slavery. What did I say the other night when I was going over the CUE posts? What if the Dems never let go after the Civil War, the actual Civil War, and replaced it with a different system? I said it was the new slavery, where they passed the 16th Amendment and started taxing us. And then they got control of the money they taxed. So they're the ones running the plantation. Look what's happening to the people in California. It's happening to all of us, but it's really pronounced in California. People are getting their eyeballs taxed out of their heads. And you have people like Newscomb and Karen Bass are in control of all of it. And at any given time, they could pluck anybody out of the crowd they wanted to and politically persecute them, prosecutorially persecute them for any number of things. People live in fear, just like Gorsuch said. Everybody's a felon. If they want to play that game, they would. If they had the power, they would do it. And I said, if Hillary had gotten in and the likes of Karen Bass and judges like Frimpong or whatever her name is, and that ilk got control to the same level Trump has now, presidency, Congress, and the Supreme Court, this nation would never recover, and they could do we would be looking at mass arrests, all right. Productive people that do videos that disagree with them, they put one guy in jail for memes. And it'd be like Reagan said, we'd be entering 1,000 years of darkness. So keep that little fact in mind, because the people that have gotten us to the position we're in now versus where we were in 2016, if she would have won, they would have pulled that virus stunt, and they would have been unforgiving, brutal. Life as we know it would have changed and never gotten back. We were that damn close. So keep that in mind, that the people that got us where we are and helped us avoid that terrible fate, they know what they're doing. Otherwise, we'd already be cooked. So we'll go with the flow and support where we can and when we can. I'm talking myself hoarse. Yes, Graybeard, they have the schools, they have the press, they have a lot. All right, folks. What do I always say at the end of every broadcast? that I thank you all for spending your precious time with me. And if you're not subscribed, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got all these clips I wanted to do, and I got nailed. But in a way, it's good because I get to vent. And I like that. I like being able to vent. That's the way I used to do it at the very beginning. I didn't do picture shows, except maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks I'd do picture shows. Now I'm doing them all the time. You know, it's not so much these stories. It's what's behind the stories. It moves and counter moves. What's the meaning behind Karen Bass basically declaring during her press conference a resistance, a formal resistance to the federal government in the city of Los Angeles? So anyway, we'll see how that develops. But anyway, folks, thank you for spending your precious time with me. I don't know when I'll go live. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. And to my people on Rumble, I will upload this as soon as I can if I'm awake. I don't know when it will upload to where I can forward it. Hit the follow button on Rumble and the thumbs up. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.